Greetings and salutations, comic fam from all across the world. Thank you for tuning in for the final weekly haul, weekly review video of 2021. Now, before I start, I hope everybody had a great Christmas. I hope you got some awesome comic book related merch. I did. I got a really cool Marvel Comics t-shirt that I am looking forward to wearing in one of my videos here, as well as in general, because I wear my comic book and all my geek swag regularly. But there was one present that did stand above everything else that I got, and that's the one behind me. That's this one right here, this Garbage Pail Kids Monopoly game. My awesome wife, Melissa, got this for me for Christmas, and I'm so looking forward to teaching my son how to play Monopoly, Garbage Pail Kids style. So, now that said, let's jump into some of the books that I picked up last week. I want to get through these, and let's just talk about some comic books. Batman versus Bigby. Now, I started reading some reviews for the series saying that it's missing something, that it's not as good as it could be, that the story is kind of generic. But, you know, really, when you have the meeting of two characters like Bigby and Batman from two totally different realities that really have no common thread other than that they're both fictional characters, you can't create really, if you add too much subtext to it, you're going to muddy the waters and the story won't be as fun. So it's good to rely on something that's safe, something that's proven, something that's been done, a time or two before. And that's what they're doing here. I mean, we went through the whole part where Bigby and Batman are fighting, and now they realize they have a common enemy. Now they're teaming up, although neither one really likes the idea of teaming up. But what's really neat here is when Bigby is explaining about how the fables come from a different reality and how they lost these magical items. So you're kind of getting an update on what's been going on in the Fables universe between issue 150 and the upcoming issue 151. So it's a really awesome way to sort of bridge the gap, with those two issues of the Fables proper series. You also find out how Bigby and Cinderella ended up in the DC universe, and it's just a lot of fun. It's just so much fun. I've really enjoyed it, and I can't wait for the next couple of issues to come out. And even the art. The art is very different for both Fables and Batman, but it works for this kind of a crossover. I really enjoy it. And real quick, I do want to say, if you're a Three Stooges fan, American Mythology does these Three Stooges comics. They got quite a few of them out now. You need to check them out. They do a great job with them. They even do some Laurel and Hardy books, and they had a book where Laurel and Hardy met the Three Stooges, and it was just great. So much fun. Moving on. Radiant Black number 11. This is a series that did have some issues that kind of came up short, but it always makes up for it. And in this issue here, we find out the fallout of the previous issue where our current Radiant Black main character went into the machine or the computer and talk to whatever it is that's behind the radiant characters, because there's different ones, there's different colors. And he did this to save the life of his friend who was trapped inside, and he was able to do it. And his friend woke up, who was Radiant Black in the first couple of issues of the series. And we then find out that it wasn't a quick conversation. The kid was gone for 6 months before he came back and realized that his friend was alive and whatnot. So he's got a lot of fixing to do. He's got a lot of explaining to do. It's going to be interesting to see how he reacts, because he started off as sort of a character that was just kind of nonchalant about everything. It's really neat to see his progression, his growth, and I really like that. And Kyle Higgins is doing an amazing job on that, just like he did. If you've read his Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and you like that, and you're not reading Radiant Black, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Moving on, this one I just want to talk about because I love the cover. This is a Refrigerator Full of Heads, number 3 of 6, sequel to Basket Full of Heads. And if you read Basket Full of Heads and you enjoyed it and you're not checking this out, you do want to read this series, because this is explaining that battle axe. It explains where it came from, explains what its purpose is. So it's a good idea to read this, and it's got that same sort of dark, tongue-in-cheek humor that the first series had. And I really enjoyed it. I don't know if that concept has a lot of legs, if it's got a long shelf life. I think after this one, I mean, we could pretty much wrap it up and call it a day with as far as the concept of the Full of Heads series. But, who knows where this one's going to end, and who knows where we're going to end up after this one. So, but it's a great series. So last week we had some great books. So let's move on. Let's talk about the books that I picked up this week. We're going to start off with Timeless, number 1. This is setting up, I guess, the events for 2022 in the Marvel Universe. And, we all know that Marvel likes to have events. And while they're having events, they like to have other events. And then they like to add more books to those events. And then they like to, expand other events and then put more events in there. And then it's just all it is event after event after event. And quite honestly, one of the problems I have with the Marvel Universe right now is because I have no idea. I've been reading comics since 1990, and I've always been a Marvel fan. And up until the Marvel Cinematic Universe became a thing, and they started resetting the 616 universe to match the movies, it's become unrecognizable. And then they have event after event after event, and it's hard for even for me, a long-time reader, to know where to jump in on anything because everything is just such a mess right now in the Marvel Universe. But, I figured maybe this would be a good time to, sort of reintroduce myself to the Marvel Universe, or I guess we'll call it the 616 Cinematic Universe, because this isn't comic books anymore. It's all about those movies. Which, I don't talk about the movies here because I don't watch them. If you do want to, watch some videos of people who do watch these movies and the TV shows and enjoy the heck out of them, you want to check out the M6P. They do have a whole series of channels where they have sort of like a roundtable discussion. There's Jared Mayo and there's some other guys, and they just talk about these things, and they enjoy them. So I would recommend, if you do want to check out some and hear some opinions and discussions on the MCU, check out the M6P as they do their M6P versus MCU. Wow, there's a lot of letters and numbers in there. But check them out. I'll go ahead and put a link. There might be one of those little boxes if I can do that. If not, in the description down below, there'll be a link to the M6P's YouTube channel. Check them out. They're a great group of guys. And they definitely love the MCU and will just talk your ear off about it. And it's a great thing. It's an amazing thing. So moving on, Timeless. I also grabbed a variant cover for it. I grabbed this one here, this Spiderman 2099 variant cover, because I love Spidey 2099, and I just like the character. Now there was a variant that had a cartoon clock on it. It looked dumb as all get out to me, and I just found out yesterday it had to do with the Loki series. And I don't watch the Marvel movies and TV shows, so I had no idea. I know it's like why do I want a comic book with this kind of importance with a cartoon clock on the cover? It just made no sense to me. So, but I mean, if you got it and you liked it, that's great, awesome. I'm glad you guys were able to get it because apparently it's one of the harder ones to get. But whatever. Moving on. Good Boy number 2. This is a 3-issue miniseries from Source Point Press. The first issue was a lot of fun, and there was a line that one of the characters said in the first issue about being a literary universe or something like that, and that kind of piqued my interest as to what is actually going on in this series. So I'm going to stick with it because it's something interesting is going on. Then I also grabbed from Boom Studios Power Rangers Universe number 1 of 6, standard cover, because I got to cut back on those variants. That one gives the origin of the Phantom Ranger, I believe. But then there's also Power Rangers number 14, continuing the Altarian Wars, and finally get the Omega Blue Ranger. Gets a bit of cover love there on that little corner thing there. It's pretty cool having a giant alien cat as a Power Ranger. That's pretty interesting. Speaking of animals, Stray Dogs. Dog Days number 1. I grabbed the Creep Show variant cover. Now this is a thick book, so it's got 6 stories in it, and it's a 2-issue miniseries, kind of filling in what's happened to some of those dogs as they lose their owners. So good stuff. The Death of Doctor Strange number 4 of 5. Now this does lead into a series that is going to be starting out next year called Strange, where it has been announced, so this is not a spoiler, that Clea is taking over as Sorcerer Supreme in the 616. And honestly, with that, I'm reading the remaining part of this. It's going to be one more issue, and there's also a Bloodstone with Elsa Bloodstone, one of my favorite characters. And so I'm going to grab those, and I will check out the first couple of issues of Strange because Clea's a pretty cool character. I don't think she's ever really had a lot of spotlight on her, which is kind of unfortunate because she is an interesting character, but I'm going to check that out. So I've got, as the scoreboard reads now, there are 3 books, Marvel books, that I'm going to be checking out next year. Hopefully they're all hits for me, and that's going to be Strange with Clea, Ghost Rider, and She-Hulk. And I hope they are. I'm like Ghost Rider. I'm cautiously optimistic about, just like I was with Darkhawk. And I hope, just like with Darkhawk, that I'm surprised and that the mess that I've seen of it so far actually makes sense and is somewhat better. But anyway, wrapping this up for the year, Robin number 9. This is part of this continuing that Lazarus Island storyline, which I hope ends soon, because I would really like to see Robin doing something different and having a multitude of adventures. And even, I'd like to see more with this Flatline character that's been introduced in this book. She seems pretty cool. But that's it. Those are the books that I picked up. The last books, the last haul, the last stack of 2021. So next year we're going to be beginning a whole new year. Hopefully I can take this channel, even further than what it is. I mean, it's grown slowly, but I'm hoping to be able to do something here. I'm looking on rearranging my room a little bit, so the background's going to be a little bit different for a while, and just kind of trying to change things up here and there. So that said, by the time I see everybody again, it's going to be the new year. It'll be 2022, which is a year that does not roll off does not roll off the tongue very well. 2022. There's a lot of in there. But anyway, I hope everybody has a safe and happy new year. Be safe, be careful, and enjoy your comics. And I will see everybody in the new year. Have a good one.